Okay, come grab a seat, make yourself at home, get nice and cozy. Come on in. I know some people are grabbing breakfast. Don't let anything there go to waste. Bring it all in. I got really nice chuckles on that first one. You guys, you made it. Welcome to Seattle, Washington and 2025 ReFed. It's really exciting. It's unbelievable. I'm Joel Gamoran. I'm going to be your MC for the next day and a half. I am a Seattle native. I am a chef. Oh, thank you. I love it. I am a chef, entrepreneur. I was born literally 5 minutes that way, and my company, Homemade, is 5 minutes that way. So this is like straight to the heart. I'm obsessed with ReFed. I'll give you a little bit of background on how I know them and they know me. But our company, Homemade, we are the largest cooking class platform in the country. We teach millions of people how to cook and make the most out of what they have at home. And for those of you who do know or maybe not know, here in America, we waste upwards of a third of the food that we produce, which is just mind-blowing. That's just insane. And it's double insane when you find out that 1 out of 8 people in America go to bed hungry, not knowing where their next meal comes from. And so those two things, the surplus of food plus people not having what they deserve and should have, led me on this path. And it was in 2016 that I started a cooking show called Scraps on A&E, where we traveled the country and taught people how to cook. And I needed a partner to help kind of give me facts and connect me to the right people. And I heard about this little emerging organization called ReFed. And I reached out, and the people were just so incredible, so mission-oriented, saw it so clearly, and immediately you could see ReFed is just glue. These complex issues of food waste require so many stakeholders and so many different perspectives, and ReFed is so good at kind of putting those pieces together, and it starts with their people. They invest in their people. If you know anyone from ReFed, you know they're an incredible organization. So give it up for ReFed and just everyone who put this on. Unbelievable. Speaking of which, last year, about 9 months ago, they named a new executive director, Sara Burnett. So Sara, come join me on stage. Give it up for Sara.
Good morning, Joel. We're so glad you're here with us. A longtime ally, advocate, friend, an amazing chef. If you haven't taken one of his classes, you should.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, so I need to ask you, you've been with the org now for 9 months. It's like food waste baby. It's 9 months, okay? What have you learned? What has been the biggest eye-opening kind of piece here for you?
I mean, I think, Joel, it's interesting. I've been in the food industry for over 20 years, and food system complex, like those two words go together, right? But I think as I've gotten into food waste, what I've learned is it truly is a system-wide problem, and there is a role for each and every stakeholder to play. And especially this year, I'm really excited because I feel like it's this perfect moment. It's a time where landfills are at capacity. There's economic pressures on businesses and consumers, both sides of that economic equation. We're seeing so much, hunger, and actually hunger increasing over time. And I think it's the perfect time right now for absolutely every stakeholder to see a role for themselves, and each of them have a place and a next step for addressing food waste.
Yeah, and I know one thing about ReFed that you guys have always been behind is it's great to have information, but you guys are really about transformation and action, and that's really important here, yes?
Yes, exactly. And that's why I'm really excited about a lot of the speakers that we're going to see over the next 2 days. For example, we're going to hear from retailers and how they're addressing food surplus now and seeing real reductions. Very exciting. Some of that happening in the Pacific Northwest as well. We're going to see, we're going to hear about policymakers who are making a difference each and every day. We're going to hear from Kathleen Merrigan from the Sweetie Center. We're going to hear from Victor Friedberg and Matt Rogers about funders and philanthropists and the role that they have to play. All of them are driving real action and doing things today that are going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I was here in 2019. I'm blown away, by the way, just the amount of people have showed up. We think it's at least double since then. I mean, I remember at least seeing half. Maybe I'm just getting older. But it's unbelievable to see all this support. And I do think we're all trying to kind of push up this crater up the hill, which is food waste, which is complex and hard. but it really is going to be the equation of mini actions and collaborations. We can talk about it until we're blue in the face. We can hear about these statistics, but we need to do something about it. And I know, the President, Nena Gunders, is committed to that. I know that is what we really hope we all take away is what can we do? What can we do to really make a difference here? And it's going to be unbelievable. What are you most excited for in terms of the programming here? What can people look forward to?
Well, I know that I'm on stage with you, so I have to be nice. But I actually am really, really excited for your cooking demo today.
Okay,
I think you're going to show us a little bit of your scrapped magic, and I
Yeah.
cannot wait. What are you excited for?
Okay, so we're doing this like round robin thing where we're going to hear from different sectors around diets, around trends. I'm really excited to kind of learn more. I'm just excited to kind of hear different perspectives. And speaking of perspectives, I'm very proud. Here in Seattle, we're very forward thinking about our policy, how we kind of take on food waste. I've worked with the Department of Ecology really closely, which has been amazing. But we do have a special guest that has come in today, which is really exciting. You want to give a little formal intro?
Before I do that, Joel.
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to pause and say we wouldn't be here today without some amazing sponsors. And many, especially our scholarship sponsors, who made it possible for a lot of folks to be in attendance. So I want to first just recognize real quick,
Yes.
Amazon and Chick-fil-A, our scholarship sponsors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have folks not only from across the country, but across the world who are here because of that. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, and I've got some gold sponsors. I've got the Byrne and Pamela Murphy Family Foundation, so please give it up for them. And right here in our hometown, Starbucks. Really important, and I think it's
Yes.
amazing that you guys are involved.
Great. And Joel, now without further ado, I am very excited to welcome our first guest to the stage. Governor Jay Inslee is joining us here. For those that don't know his story, he has been a climate advocate and made huge progress here in the state of Washington, but also across the country. He's had just a storied, amazing career, from serving as a representative in the 14th District, to being a very successful lawyer, to being the Director of Health and Human Services in the Northeast, and just in his free time, 3-time governor here in the state of Washington. Related to our issue, one of the original signatories of the Pacific Coast Collaborative, out of which was born PCFWC, and then also working on the Use Food Well Washington program, which led to amazing organic management policies, in addition to a great consumer campaign. So I am just very proud to welcome Governor to the stage.
Thank you for that introduction. I want to add, I'm the governor who's never left a bite of food on a plate in 74 years. I'm very proud of that. Welcome to Washington State, the home of Microsoft, Boeing, the best clam chowder in the world, regrets to Massachusetts, and the best anti-food waste program in the United States. And I'm proud of Washington State, of what we've done. Listen, we're not done. We've done some good work. I'll talk with you about that, but we're not done in the state of Washington. We still have 2 million people in the state of Washington who have some food insecurity at some point. We still have 500,000 tons of food waste going into our landfills. We're not done in the state of Washington. I'm going to talk about some of the things we've done, but I want you to know we're not done in the state of Washington. We're in the process of really making a world where we don't waste food and people can actually eat and we don't destroy the environment. And I want to talk about, if I have time, 10 principles of our efforts. And I'm going to base it on stories about some meals that I have had. So I'm going to have 10 stories and 10 principles of anti-food waste programs. First off, I'll think about the day when my dad was trying to teach me how to cook hash browns. He did that every Saturday morning. I loved him for it. And he tried to cook me how to do hash browns when I was about 8 or 9 or 10. And I was just a failure. And he looked at me and said, "Son, you're never going to amount to anything." And I looked him right in the eyes and I said, "Dad, with all due respect, having a little problem today, but the day will come when I address the best food waste program in America as a 3-term governor of the state of Washington." And here I am, so I've been vindicated. And what that story tells you is that you can improve over time, as I have over the decades. And I'm happy to tell you that we have reduced food waste essentially by unsold food by 28% in the last several years, since 2019. We're making progress. The second story I want to tell you is the day my mom was cooking chili up on the shoulders of Mount Rainier. My mom and dad ran a program on Mount Rainier for young kids. My mom had to feed like 25 teenagers every night, and she had a huge, 4-gallon pot of chili. And just as we're getting ready, the teenagers are all lined up, are all hungry, it got tipped over. I'm not going to tell you who tipped it over. That's not part of the story. But she came back from disappointment, and we have learned in our process. And I want to share that with you. You are all frustrated that we don't have perfection yet, but we know you can get through disappointment and really come back, and we have come back really, really strong. Third issue, I want to tell you a story about when I woke up in Sweden, hungry, because I was hungry. I went over to Sweden on an energy research program as a college student in 1971, and we went camping, and I was very, very hungry, and I woke up, and I could smell something cooking. I could smell Swedish meatballs in Sweden. And I followed a trail for about 3/8 of a mile and found a community cookout that the Swedes were having, and they fed me. And I got to tell you, one of the things I learned, when people feed you, you love them forever, and I have loved the Swedes forever. And that's why I'm proud that you are feeding people, which is the number one thing we can do in America. And I am proud that you have improved that. Look, and we have now concertedly tried to increase the food nutritional program. The fact that we still have some people hungry in the state of Washington troubles me deeply. And this is the most efficient way to increase nutritional assistance for them. And I want to tell you, we've had some cuts to USAID. I met a friend of mine whose son is feeding people in the Sudan right now. He's had his grants cut in USAID. I look forward to when the United States again starts to fully fund USAID so that we can really feed people across the world. And you're doing that right at home. And I want to thank you for doing that in such an important way. Next one. I want to tell you about a meal. I was at Stanford University, and the Indian students wanted to prepare a meal for all the students at Wilbur dorm. I used to hash. I washed dishes to try to afford college education. And they fixed these giant pots of food full of saffron. They were just beautiful, that saffron colors and oranges and reds. And they worked for like a week on this to try to feed these Stanford students. And it was a sad story, but there was a lesson. Nobody ate anything. And we had these giant bins of food that the Indian students in 1969 had prepared for the Stanford students. That was 1969. Stanford students would not eat that. Now the Stanford students would lick the bowls of Indian food. And the lesson there is that people can change how they eat, what they eat, when they eat, the quantities they eat. And you are showing how that they can change. And we're doing that right now by dealing with issues of portion control, of what we eat, to people make sure they're in touch with their food. And you are helping them learn that changed behavior. And the reason I tell you that story is people can change their nutritional habits. It's happened during my lifetime. Next one, story about my first meal as a married man. 1972, finally convinced Trudy to marry me. It only took 5.5 years. And we got married in a little place out in North Seattle. And we decided to go to dinner. And we went to the first place, the Tahiti Room downtown. It was a Sunday night. It was closed. We went to the next place, the Doghouse Restaurant, Sunday night. It was closed. Next one we went, I think, maybe to Ivar's on Sunday night. It was closed. Couldn't find a place to eat, our first wedding meal. What it taught me is planning is important. And now the plans that you are adopting with multiple agencies really pay off. And I'm proud to tell you Washington State is investing in the planning process so you can embed multiple agencies to improve this situation and waste less food. And that planning infrastructure dollars have been extremely important in our state, where we marry the Department of Commerce, the Department of Ecology, the Department of Agriculture, with our private networks to be able to do food waste programs. That planning is extremely important. And I note this because a lot of times when you go talk to a legislator, they'll say, what was all this planning money? Planning money is what unites so many multiple agencies in this effort. So if any legislature gives you a hard time, tell them to come see me, and I'll tell them why planning is important. Next rule is that we're connected to nature. Nothing connects us like our food. I'm excited right now. Trudy and I were driving back home the other day, and we noticed the blackberry bushes have the biggest bloom I've ever seen on the blackberry bushes in the state of Washington. You'll see them little white blooms in the blackberries in all our vacant lots in Washington state. Every one of those blooms, what I saw, was one of Trudy's blackberry pies, and they are on the way. This is how to connect people to nature. And nothing is important than the connection we have right now, which leads to the next little story I'll tell you. I got a friend named Phil Klein. He has Natchez Heights Winery over in Yakima. Really, really great wine. But our state now has suffered in some of our wine industry because of the forest fires. And the smoke from the forest fires, which have doubled because of climate change in the last several decades, is now damaging our wine because the smoke goes in the wine and it actually gets worse the longer it's in a bottle or a barrel. Fortunately, Phil has kind of avoided that in Yakima, but we're suffering big time as a result of climate change. And food waste is associated with that problem and increased it. Listen, we know that CO2 is causing this climate change. It's damaging the way we eat, the way we drink, and we have the capability to do something about it. You know, I've learned that some of the work that we've done has already had success in that regard. We have a goal of a 50% reduction of food waste by 2030 in the state of Washington, and we have a plan to get there. When this plan is implemented, it will save 1.9 million tons of carbon dioxide that's going in the atmosphere because every pound of food waste is a loss of energy and more CO2 emissions. And that is 1.2 million tons of waste. That's taken 500,000 cars off the road. I want you to give yourself applause for what you're doing to reduce food waste, which gives our planet a chance to thrive. On behalf of my grandchildren, thank you for what you're doing against food waste. Next one, I want to mention what works. Partnership works. I remember I used to cook lemon rolls with my grandmother. She taught me partnership works in cooking. Next one, we know data works. I'm excited to tell you that we're using artificial intelligence to reduce waste. We've reduced in one potato supply chain 14% of wastage using artificial intelligence to try to help the industry in that supply chain reduce wastage in every sense. And the last story I'll tell you is about how I enjoy my 5-year-old granddaughter. When she comes over on Saturday morning, we cook pancakes. And we have a little doll that I salvaged off the beach. His name is Elmer, and he looks like a little Martian alien. And I don't know how this started, but it turns out that Annie and I cook pancakes every Saturday morning with Elmer, the little doll. She gets together and Elmer does the little batter, and she learns about blueberries in pancakes. Youth matters. And every chance you have a chance to train people, educate them like they're doing at Islandwood on Bainbridge Island, where now when the kids put food waste, it's in a clear bin so they can see all the wastage. You're educating young people in the way to eat in the future, and I want to thank you. So there's 10 meals from one governor, and as you go home, I hope that you'll be emboldened, you'll raise your ambitions, you'll say, join Washington State in reducing food waste, we'll feed more people, we'll reduce climate change, and we'll sleep at night because we had a great life. Congratulations, what you're doing, keep it up. Good luck. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Governor Inslee. It's a hard act to follow. I don't have nearly as many stories. But what an incredible treat to have you kick the summit off, especially with all that you've done for the food waste issue and climate overall. And welcome, everyone. It's officially summer, and there are a lot of things that you could be doing right now and a lot of issues you could be working on. So I just am so appreciative that you have taken the time to be here during this time and to be working on food waste. We absolutely, you are what fuels this movement. We couldn't make progress without you, really. So thank you. Thank you for being here. If this is your first summit, fasten your seatbelt because you are in for a ride. You are going to go from 0 to 60 on this topic, and you may have come here thinking you were going to learn about one topic, but by the time you leave, you will see that fixing food waste is really kind of about fixing the whole food system, and it's that complex. We often talk about how solving food waste requires an army of food waste warriors, but putting this summit on requires an army of summit warriors these days. So just to take a moment to thank all of the people involved. Joel for being our esteemed guide, there you are, and keeping it fun. Meet Green for making the logistics so smooth. Yeah. Refed team, you guys are like the Michelin 3-star team of food waste warriors, and I so appreciate everything you've done for this summit. It's all hands on deck to put this on, and in general for the work. Jackie Suggett, Jackie Chi, and Lisa Accardi, you guys somehow convinced like 1 million moving parts to form a conga line and dance into a meaningful and seamless summit. So thank you so much. We could not thank you enough. Yeah. And I'd also like to recognize our board members. Your support and guidance are just brilliant, and I feel it every day in my work, so thank you. All right, so this is now my 4th opportunity to stand up and welcome you all to Summit. And every year, it's like this where are we at moment for me. It's like, you know, what's changed, what hasn't changed, what have we accomplished, what's useful for people working on this topic to know. And I think it's safe to say that plenty has changed in the past year. New administration, new headlines. My daughter is now a tween. She still wants to hang out with me, though, so that hasn't changed. But if we want to talk about accomplishments, you should see my new lingo that I have, gotten. Riz, that's charisma, for those who don't know. Slay, that's like killing it. And I'm particularly proud of my pronunciation of bruh. You have to use your eyes when you pronounce it, that's part of it. It's like, bruh. Yeah, you can work on it. I'll help you throughout the summit. It's cool. But seriously, I would like to start today with a reflection on what's been accomplished recently, because at the grandest level, this is a topic that is going to take decades to really, really nail, and so we need to stop, right? We need to appreciate what we are achieving as we go. And in the past couple of years, when I've stood up here, I've called for scale, right? That's kind of been my call to action. And when I thought about, well, what should I highlight today? Honestly, there were so many things that were hitting a point of scale that I actually had a hard time choosing. Does randomly seeing this on my flight out here count as scale? I don't know. In fact, I realized that one thing that has scaled is my sense of scale. And I think that in itself is progress. But here are a few other points of progress to consider. Let's start with policy. There are now 12 states, including Washington, with some type of restriction on food going to landfills, also known as organic bans for those new to the topic. You'll hear organic a lot. That just means food scraps. That is exciting on its own to have those 12 states, but now we're at least a few years into it. We're actually seeing results. Vermont has reduced food in their landfills by 13% in the year 2023 compared with 2019. Yeah. California has almost met its goal to recover 20% of all edible food that is going to waste in that state. That amounts to almost 700 million meals since 2022. Yeah. And over 80% of the communities there also have residential organics collection. Even with my new calibration, to me, that's scale. At the local level, New York City just rolled out mandatory curbside composting across the entire city this year. And just this week, the US Conference of Mayors adopted a resolution supporting food waste reduction. Also this past year, California passed the first ever law to standardize food date labels. And it goes into effect in July of 2026. And since then, 9 other states have introduced similar bills. Well, what this is doing is actually creating a lot more support for a federal bill to pass, because people don't want to see all those different states. Yeah. And the Zero Food Waste Coalition, which was founded less than 2 years ago, has grown to over 280 members across all 50 states. So that's a little on the policy side. On the business side, launched only about 18 months ago, the US Food Waste Pact now has 21 signatories, and they amount to over 50% of market share across the country in grocery and over a quarter of market share in food service. And with new signatories like Hilton and hospitality, Starbucks and Chick-fil-A and QSR, the pact is going to be able to move into new sectors as well. The Food Waste Pact is a national initiative, and it's really modeled off the Pacific Coast Food Waste Commitment that you've heard a little about already. And that project, Governor Inslee mentioned the 28% reduction. Well, he's a year old, and his data, actually the grocers in that project have reduced their unsold food now by 30% since 2019 when they began reporting. That is scale. Also exciting on the business front, this past year we had the first company reach its 50% reduction goal. Congrats to food service brand Guggenheimer. They actually, They actually reduced it by 64%, which is impressive. Beyond that, general engagement is increasing too. Online searches have increased 9% since from between 2023 and 2024. And engagement at ReFed, we have had our average monthly user for our Insight Engine tool triple in the past 2 years. And now that's not just about ReFed, that's an indicator that more people are looking for information. In fact, just this week, we reached our 250,000th user of the Insight Engine. Super exciting. And for those who may not be one of those users, this isn't just like going to a website. This is like for the geeks, which, if you know me, is a huge compliment, by the way. But really, these are the people looking for analysis. They're looking for specifics. They are intending to really do something with that information. In fact, it was some of that analysis that was used in the creation of Washington's Use Food Well plan. So it's been exciting to see that level of increased engagement. Overall, it really does feel like there's momentum. And it's continuing to grow, but at the same time, it's of course not all good news right now. Despite everything I mentioned, our top-line estimates at ReFed are not yet showing a decrease. We're certainly seeing it in pockets, and our models aren't perfect at capturing all of those pockets, but the overall numbers, after dipping a little during the pandemic, are essentially the same as they were in 2016. And from a different angle, even though I'm not allowed to say the word climate, the world is still spinning, and strange natural disasters are still happening at an alarming rate. And beyond all else, the funding environment has become incredibly challenging. Food waste investment has slowed along with climate investment overall. Philanthropy, by our estimates, in the US has increased about 25% between 2019 and 2023, but overall amounts are still low relative to other sectors. But generally speaking, investment in food systems is drastically lower than other climate solutions. To be honest, I actually think we're doing pretty well, given the fact that there has been nowhere near the investment that there has been in things like transportation and energy transitions. And that's all before we consider cuts to federal funding that have hit the sector. And while food waste has not been a target, it has been kind of hit by collateral damage to a lot of the federal funding cuts. For instance, the Rhode Island Food Policy Council lost an $18 million grant targeting a project that was working on food waste. And there are at least 2 household research projects that have been frozen. But the biggest impact that's being felt by those is in the emergency food system. USDA cuts have translated to over $1 billion less for food banks. And the appropriation bill that's currently being debated is nearly guaranteed to drastically cut food assistance programs like SNAP. Together, all of this could be, as a headline from the weekend here highlights, existential for the food rescue system. And if that stops operating, then we lose the ability to rescue food, right? All of that excess food that we're currently rescuing, we lose that. And it makes it an incredibly important time to support food donation, to do donation if you're a company with the capability to do that, and to support these organizations. Okay, that's a lot, I know. But for me, my reaction is to look around and see what I can do. And as I've been doing some self-reflecting on that, and just kind of like, am I spending my time in the right ways these days? I've realized that it is still really a good time to be working on this topic, and actually that I'm lucky to be working on a topic that can actually still be making progress right now. In fact, some key factors are converging that make it the kind of the perfect time to be working on this. Let's start with food prices, which continue to be at a record high. While nobody likes high food prices, they sure do make for a good incentive to not waste as much. For food businesses, high prices are, of course, driving them towards cost cutting, which means that investments in reducing food waste are easier to justify than they were before. For consumers, it's a little more complicated. Despite 43% of consumers citing rising prices as their top concern, interestingly, our estimates show that household food waste has actually increased during this time in the past couple years. People are worried about food prices, but they're using other strategies to compensate. They're switching brands to more, like less premium brands. They're shopping bargains, they're shopping in bulk, but they aren't thinking about wasting less food as one of their strategies. That's actually a big opportunity for us, right? Because we can go in and educate them and give them some strategies and say, hey, this will save you money, this will help you stretch your food budget. And it's not just in homes, but in restaurants too. A 2024 survey by the National Restaurant Association found that 3 in 4 adults would opt for smaller portion sizes at lower prices. A solution, by the way, smaller portions, flexible portions really, that's at the top of our list in terms of impact. There's another trend, though, that's driving interest in smaller portions and could have significant co-benefits to less waste more broadly, and that is GLP-1 drugs. These are the Ozempics and Wegovy's that are already used by 1 in 8 adults, and that is expected to grow further. These drugs are drastically changing people's shopping and eating habits, and they're another chance to influence their food management behaviors. Separately, we cannot talk about what is unique in this moment without mentioning the letters A and I. We'll hear more about it this afternoon, but there isn't a corner of the food system that's not thinking about how AI might be applied. Already it's being used in forecasting, in evaluating products, identifying contamination, helping farmers, helping eaters, and even helping us at ReFed to analyze far more information than we could previously. And while I'm certainly just as cautious as everyone around it taking over the world, there's a lot of potential for AI to help us become more accurate and precise, more customized, and more informed, all of which could really help reduce waste. And last but not least, in fact, probably most important of all right now, food waste is a nonpartisan issue. And it truly is nonpartisan. It's like the Swiss Army knife of topics, right? It has something in it for everyone, and it solves a lot of problems at once. It can help address landfill space, high food costs. It can at times bring farmers additional income. It can cut spending. It can provide food to the food insecure. Oh, and it happens to have water, fertilizer, land use, and climate benefits. The U.S. food waste goals are now in their 4th administration, and they're still kicking. The goals were first announced in the Obama administration, but it was under the first Trump administration that the Winning on Food Waste initiative was launched. Anyone who was here last year to see then Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack announce the federal government's national strategy knows that the Biden administration supported the issue. And this administration is showing strong signs of support as well. Just last month, the America First Policy Institute, a group established to support the advancement of Donald Trump's political agenda, included food waste reduction as a top 5 priority in its nutritional briefing. It even had specifics on standardizing food date labels and imperfect produce. This is a huge opportunity. Not only does it demonstrate clear Republican support, but it's particularly notable because one of the founders of this institute is Brooke Rollins, who is now the Secretary of Agriculture. And we've actually already seen some promising indicators since the administration changed. Just a few weeks ago, the USDA sent a memo out to all public schools reminding them of the flexibility to switch to a system called offer versus serve that has already been shown to reduce school lunch waste. The EPA has taken some steps we'll hear about in just a few minutes. And on the Hill, the Zero Food Waste Coalition has been seeing more support than ever for the Food Date Labeling Act. And it may even be that we find a Republican co-sponsor in the Senate for the first time ever. Now, given funding cuts, it doesn't mean that there will be vast amounts of money, additional money going to the issue from the federal side, but there certainly is an open door. Other sustainability efforts may be slowing down, but this is not. It's up to us, though, to keep that momentum going. Look, there's certainly a lot of change in the world right now, but in times of uncertainty, we have to focus on what we can control. Reducing food waste is something that we can make progress on now, while other initiatives are facing major headwinds. And the great thing about working on food waste is that we know what works, we have the ability to make it happen, and it can have an impact immediately. Those are things that everyone can get behind. So here is my charge to you over the next 2 days. Learn all about the issue, make connections with new people, talk to potential partners, and then when you go back to your regular life, do something, take action. Because with all of these amazingly smart people working together, we can get this done. We're gonna scale the scale even bigger, or slay. And speaking of slaying, we put a call out for all of you to tell us about your accomplishments this year. We thought we would just put one little video together, but we got so many that we actually put 4 together and would love to share beyond the accomplishments I mentioned some of yours. So here is one, and stay tuned for others throughout the summit. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. I hope you have a great summit.
It's the Climate Candy Impact Report. Over the past year, rescued 3 million imperfect fruits and veggies, saved 500 acres of cropland, and 10 million gallons of water, and of course made 20 million pieces of faves by Climate Candy.
Hi, my name is Scott Smithline, and I'm with Mill. Mill is a food recycling system that makes it easy for people to prevent wasted food. Mill dries and grinds food scraps into clean, dry grounds that can be used to feed animals or enrich soil. This year, Mill expanded from home kitchens into workplaces, helping companies manage their food scraps at scale. Mill is now in tens of thousands of homes and businesses, changing perceptions about the value of food. We're conducting pilots with cities to help address the challenges with organics recycling, including in multifamily dwellings. Together, we've kept 9 million pounds of food out of the landfill.
Hello, everyone. I just want to very briefly share with all of you that I'm really proud of the food waste we started in Portland last year. It was the first time we tried something like this in North America, and the team loved it. Fun tools like the waste puzzle and the Gamble Walks help everyone see new ways to cut down on waste. We discovered that one simple change could make thousands more products while reducing food waste. And now we are excited to bring this idea to other locations that keep finding new ways to reduce food waste.
Our greatest accomplishment at Compass Group is fighting food waste at scale. This includes creating the world's largest day of action, Stop Food Waste Day. We've deployed our waste tracking tool in over 4,000 of our kitchens, and we're training over 10,000 of our associates to be waste warriors. And their superpower is that they care.
I care. Me importa.
I care because if we each do a little, it adds up to a lot.
The less we waste is more for everyone else.
Hi, I'm Ellen Longtree, the CEO of Share My Meals and co-chair of the Meal Recovery Coalition in New Jersey. This past month, we joined forces with academics, public officials, corporations, and nonprofit partners to develop guidelines and standards around food recovery that will be added to the New Jersey Food Code. We paid particular attention to develop language around the recovery of healthy prepared meals. Together, we aim to recover 1 million meals by 2026 because meals should feed people, not end up in landfills.
What's up, ReFed? It's Matt Aronson from Verdant Technologies. As many of y'all know, I am one of y'all's biggest fans and have been for the last 10 years. Keep up the amazing work. Tonight, I'm coming to y'all from our small family vegetable farm in Saxbahaw, North Carolina. And one of the ways we've been able to reduce food loss on our farm, beyond our amazing CSA members, is through our relationship with the local food pantry. And they'll tell us some of the weeks we donate, it's the only green vegetables they've seen all week. So shout out food pantries, keep up the amazing work.
We are celebrating the 5th year of the certification cycle for Upcycled Certified. Over 1.34 million tons of food saved. Today, there are over 620 products certified. We've launched version 3 of the Upcycled Certified standard, just showcasing the power of the consumer's voice when it comes to mitigating food waste and really celebrating brands that stand behind that mission.
Our drivers head out every day around 5 a.m. from New Mexico, and they're at the southern Arizona border by 10 a.m. Support from the Posner Foundation has allowed Roadrunner Food Bank to pick up more than 5 million pounds of fresh produce from Mexican farmers that would likely otherwise go to waste. We bring this produce back to New Mexico and get it to the people who need it most.
Hey ReFed, this is Janet Haugen, the COO with Lean Path. Our biggest accomplishment over this last year is reaching a huge milestone with our clients of preventing 150 million pounds of food from going to waste. Every day, our clients are proving that food waste is a solvable problem.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. We are the jurisdictions of the Pacific Coast Food Waste Commitment, and in 2024, our retail partners reported an amazing 30% decrease in unsold food rates over 5 years. We believe that the public and private sectors are stronger when we're working together, so join us. No food was wasted in the making of this video.
Hey, Dr. WP Evil, how many pounds did we rescue last year?
4 million pounds! And we gave it all away for free!
Good morning from North Andover, Massachusetts. We're happy to report that all 8 of our public schools are composting their food waste at lunch. For the past 3 years, we're diverting over 100,000 pounds in trays and uneaten food per year. We're cutting down about 7,000 trash bags per year, and we have about 75% of our compostable ware coming out of the food services department. And we are psyched at the leaps and bounds we've made. We're so happy for our students and our green teams, and we're happy to be part of this food waste reduction movement.
Last year at the Global Food Banking Network, we launched the FRAME methodology in Mexico and Ecuador. This methodology provides critical data that can help reduce food waste, mitigate methane emissions, and achieve climate goals. This year, we are very excited to roll out the methodology in 8 more countries.
Walmart and Denali have collaborated on a new food waste diversion program. It starts when associates remove damaged or out-of-date food from displays. Denali's process allows all kinds of food to be recycled together, including packaged foods and drinks, as well as meat, dairy, produce, and bakery items.
Talk about a little bit of inspiration, and definitely when I saw that video, I saw a lot of scale. So thank you all so much for submitting that. I am really excited to invite someone to our stage, Hunter Guthrie, who's an inspiration to us here at ReFed. If you don't know his story, he's a high school senior who I think has achieved an amazing amount. For 4 years, he's been leading his own nonprofit called A Taste of Home. And he has been so generous in when he won the Planet Protector Award from Cox Communications in Northern Virginia, where he's from. He was generous and shared that with us at the ReFed team. And we just love to hear his story. And so I'm so glad to have you here, Hunter. I would love to talk to you a little bit about how did you learn about food loss and waste in your community?
Yeah, of course. So this goes back to around middle school when our science teacher assigned us a project and wanted us to research an environmental issue in our community. And a couple days earlier, my mom was driving me around and we drove by one of our local restaurants and I saw all this food that was just thrown out in their large trash cans out there at the restaurant. And as soon as the teacher assigned the problem, I was like, I knew this has to be what I write my project on. And the more I dug and the more I researched it, I realized this isn't just something that's a part of my community. Every single person and every single community in the entire world has this problem. And that's kind of when I knew I need to act now. This is something that's very important.
That's amazing. Just tell me a little bit about what you do at A Taste of Home.
Yeah, of course. So at A Taste of Home, I email restaurants in my local community and ask if they have any unsold food or items that they were going to otherwise throw out. And if they do, after closing hours or before opening hours, I will drive to their restaurant, I will pick up that food, and I will donate it to a shelter where it will not be wasted. And additionally, in my school community, I ask for people to make meals for the shelter as well.
That's so great. Now, I think that a lot of folks in the room know this is always a problem. Like, sometimes we see problems, we know about problems, but it's like that first step to taking action. How did you move from like seeing this problem being like, I'm gonna dive in and I am gonna be the person to address this?
Yeah, I was at a library and I saw a flyer for the shelter and it just all clicked and it was like, I can get all of this. This is my solution to that problem that my science teacher assigned me. This is how I do it. Because I would not only be able to rescue the food from being thrown out where it would rot and it would emit all this carbon and greenhouse gases, but I could also solve the problem of food insecurity, which is also a problem in my community. So I just thought that that was the perfect way and that was the big driver that got it all started.
That's so great. We have a lot of change makers in the room. You are probably the youngest change maker in the room. What would be the advice that you would give to all of us?
My favorite question. For everybody out there, the best advice I have is no matter what you do to help this, everything that you do helps, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is. And I think one of the smallest things that I see some people in my community walk past is fruits at the grocery store with imperfections. They're totally fine fruits, but people just walk by them just because there's an imperfection in the peel of their banana. Oh no. But I think that everyone walks by them and then they get thrown out and then they rot, but they're perfectly good food. And it's something that anybody can do. It's so simple. But it's easy to think that, oh, I'm just one person, and it's such a big problem, and it affects the whole world. What is my contribution gonna do? And if everybody thinks like that, nothing's gonna happen. But if one person does one small thing, everyone in this room does one small thing, think of the impact that that has. Just one small thing. The impact from everybody is huge. So no matter what you do, it all helps. So keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Hunter, yes, thank you. Hunter, I have like a sense that there's going to be more ReFed summits in your future, but I am dying to know what's like the next step in your future. I know you have your senior year ahead of you, but any big dreams?
My biggest goal is when I go away to college that I'm able to not only continue my solutions for food waste wherever I go, but at the same time also keep what I've built back home. I want to make sure that I can keep expanding. In Virginia, I want to keep expanding to different restaurants. I email a couple, but I want to try and expand to more and more restaurants, so it's not just a select 5 or 6 restaurants. I want it to be more so that my whole community is involved. As well, I want to get more students in my school county involved to hopefully the point where they're also emailing these restaurants. So it's not just me. So it's the whole community working together. And other than that, just keep spreading the story, keep inspiring others, hopefully, and keeping my journey up to reduce food waste.
Thank you, Hunter. And I think Hunter is a perfect example of an adage that was shared by me by Ghislaine, who's here in the audience recently, and it just spins through my head constantly. It's the problem belongs to those who can solve it. And I think it is just absolutely incredible that you saw a problem and you said, I can do something, and you took that step, especially at such a young age. We are just so grateful for you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
And I am so excited to welcome our next guest to the stage. Nena Shaw is the acting Deputy Director of Management at EPA, and is a lawyer by trade, has worked on environmental policy for all of her career, but most notably has been a very strong supporter, an advocate, an ally for food waste reduction work. And I am so proud to call Nena a friend of ReFed, and we just want to welcome her to the stage. Thank you.
Hello, ReFed. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Sara, and thank you, Dana, and honestly, thank you all. I always start off when I speak really recognizing that I wouldn't be here doing the work that we do at EPA if it weren't for all of you. And I say that because yesterday, in the Hope in the Water session, one of the things that one of the panelists said is that policy takes a long time. And that is absolutely true. The work that we've done today and that we're doing at EPA has been years in the making because of folks like all of you and ReFed and Dana Gunders talking about this issue, working on this issue, and thinking about what we can do. So thank you all for the work that you've done. I always get emotional when I speak, but I just have to talk through it. It'll happen. It's okay. But yes, so thank you. I also want to basically thank all the innovators that are here. One of the things that I find so inspiring about this work is that there's lots of different ways to solve this problem, and you all keep growing and thinking about the different ways to work on this issue, and for that, I'm really grateful. It inspires us to keep doing the work that we do. And this is where I'll really get emotional. I want to call Claudia Fabiano. Sorry. I'll work through it. Claudia Fabiano. She is truly the best. EPA, I'm really lucky to have an amazing team behind my work and our work, and it makes my job look incredibly easy. But Claudia has been a true leader in this space and, has really been behind the work and doing all the work that we've been able to present over the last couple of years. We mentioned the strategy that was announced last year at the summit in Baltimore. What an amazing opportunity that was to talk about the objectives and actions and really present a vision for what needs to be done in this space, not only at the national level, but internationally as well. So huge shout out to Claudia and our folks from Region 10 who are here as well. It's an amazing honor to do this work. And I'm going to talk about a couple of updates of things that we're doing and what I see on the horizon, which is incredible at this moment. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about the cost of food waste. A couple of years ago, I think it was in 2014, USDA came out with a number that was $1,500, which was the cost of food of a family of 4 over a year of food that isn't eaten. And that's a really big deal. And that number has been quoted a lot over the years. It was based on 2010 data. And EPA this year released a study that updated that research, and that number is now $3,000 to a family of 4 over the course of the year, which is the cost of food that never gets eaten. This is a big deal. We know that information is critical in advancing this administration's goal of saving Americans money and reducing their cost of living. This report basically demonstrates what we've all known, right, is that there is a strong economic argument to reduce food waste. So I'm excited about this research. It comes at a really great moment for us as we continue to make the case for doing this work at EPA. We know that wasting food wastes the labor and other resources spent to produce, package, transport, and sell uneaten food, not to mention the loss of nutrients in the uneaten food. All of this food waste represents a waste of money and resources. The administration is committed to helping lower the cost of living for hardworking American families, and we know that we can do that by helping them make the most of their groceries and make small changes to waste less food at home. And I'll talk a little bit more about how we're doing this with our grants later. The second thing I want to acknowledge is some work that we've been doing on the value of compost. Earlier this year, we released another consequential report that explains the environmental value of applying compost that was done by our amazing colleagues in the Office of Research and Development. It is a report that summarizes the state of the science about the environmental benefits of compost in a variety of sectors. We often think about composting in the agricultural space, but we were looking beyond the agricultural space. So for example, we're looking at green infrastructure and stormwater management, ecosystem conservation and restoration, and contaminated site remediation, which is a lot of it is in the Office of Land and Emergency Management with the Brownfields program and the Superfund program and some other programs that we are lucky to work with. We estimate that only 5% of U.S. food waste is currently composted. How can we improve that? And we know one of the ways to increase compost use is to make it more affordable and to really focus on growing the markets for this material. So we're now researching barriers to increasing use of compost in these areas to help us identify better strategies. So look for that coming out. We've got more research on PFAS and forever chemicals as well as microplastics in the food waste streams and compost, and so that should be coming out shortly as well. And lastly, but not least, I'm going to talk about one of the most important sort of transformative programs that we have been able to create over the last couple of years. In the last administration and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, we were given funding for 2 new grant programs, the Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling grants and the Recycling Education and Outreach grants. These are the first time we've ever been able to give money nationally to work on the issue of solid waste management policy, and it is transformative. We had 4 different funding opportunities, one of which under SWIFR was for states, territories, and the District of Columbia. We got all 56 eligible entities to come in for funding in the first round. That's a huge deal. We wanted all 50 states. And we got them, and that means they have a seat at the table in talking about these issues, which only become more complex. Sara mentioned landfill capacity. That's just one of the issues that is happening around the United States, but there are others, and we need all states to be involved. I'm proud to say that all 50 states have come in for round 2, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. In our first round, we gave out a total of 164 grants at about $200 million of funding. $83 million of that funding went to some sort of food-related work. And we have many grantees in the audience, so I just want to shout out to all of you and the amazing work that you're doing. Much of this funding went to organics recycling, composting, and anaerobic digestion all over the United States and in Alaska. We gave more money to Alaska than any other state in terms of the number of grants, the number of tribes, and the overall funding, which is incredible. We're working on food waste reduction programs in schools, creating compost outreach materials for the United States, supporting Oregon's statewide wasted food prevention campaign, improving composting collection and packaging of excess compost for the Seneca Nation of Indians, farm and community farms, and building residential collection infrastructure to provide single and multifamily households with year-round diversion of organic waste, including food waste in Bozeman, Montana. It is absolutely incredible to see what is happening because of this funding. I just want to say a couple things in closing. One, the bipartisan nature of this topic is huge. Dana mentioned it, and I'll mention it again. It is a topic that I can put on any agenda at almost any point, and that is a really big deal in the federal government. The other thing that I will say is that we have a second round of funding in the solid waste infrastructure for recycling grants and the recycling education and outreach grants. We are working really hard to ensure that this funding gets out. And we are absolutely cautiously optimistic that it is going to happen. And one of the best things that I've seen so far, and you know, you never know what's going to happen, right? Anything can happen. But in the president's budget, which is a policy document, there were 2 paragraphs on page 50 that talked about recycling and the solid waste infrastructure for recycling grants and the importance of this work. That document, as many say, is a policy document, and it does reflect the work that this administration wants to see done. And I am super proud that it was included in there. So with that, thank you all for having me. I hope you've learned a little bit of something about what we're doing and continue to be engaged with us as we work on these issues. Thank you to all the amazing work and energy in this room. It's really just humbled to be here.
I love a good Tuesday morning cry. I love that. We're going to have a little fun, and then we're going to take a little break. And I think one of the most amazing things about ReFed is all this information, all these amazing speakers, but so much time for you guys to connect. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a little bit of fun and cook it up. I'm suited and booted. I'm ready to go. And we want to talk a little bit about influencers and social media and how that might be able to help you. You know, across our channels, we have 4 million users who cook with us every year. Big following on YouTube, email lists, et cetera. And we brought an amazing expert. So I'm going to roll a video, and then I will bring him out.
Well, it's happened again. We're well into February, and thanks to your New Year's resolution, you grocery shopped for the person that you wanted to be and not the person that you are. And so now you've got a tub of spinach in your fridge, and it's dying. But not to worry, so long as your greens are not slimy or stinky or moldy, we can still turn this into something delicious and healthy and still very much in line for your resolution goals. You can be perfect tomorrow. Today, we'll salvage the best of your intentions.
Please welcome John Kung.
Hello there, Chef. How are you?
You make this apron look a lot better than I do.
Oh, yeah. No. We're look at this. We got this pastel thing going on. We look
good.
like a couple of Easter
Very
eggs.
springy. Can you give a little background on you and kind of what you do?
Yes. So I was a career chef for about 12 years based in Detroit. And then when the pandemic happened, I did a switch right into content creation. I became one of the first class of TikTokers to break over 1 million followers within the first year. And since then, I just like grew my platform, expanded to like different things like YouTube, Instagram, that kind of thing. And now I strictly do content creation, retired from professional cooking.
I love it. I love it. Give it up for that. That's an amazing feat. We wanted to do a live cooking demo because I think it's fun and also it kind of shows the storytelling. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about social media and working with influencers is you have to be talking to consumers. And if you're B2B or just looking to educate, not just consumers, but other companies or you're a service provider, what is your take on that? Is there a space for everybody there?
Yeah, it's really important, I think, especially in this day and age, to like activate whatever social media presence that you have, because it is your direct line, not just to consumers, but to everyone. You have to play the role of educator, you have to play the role of salesperson, and I think what's really important for everyone here to know is like you just really need to trust the voices of your young people, whoever's working in your company. Just ask them for their opinions. I know it's a little bit hard to do that, but they understand the communication, they have the communication skills to like reach out to people, not just in their generations, but into the generations before them, because we're all learning speech and stuff. And like, for example, cringe is a Gen Z word that I am learning over and over again as an elder millennial. So we all have these lessons that we need to learn, and activating that through like our social media presences is imperative to our success.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy to think about. We're at the beginning of this. I know sometimes you think, oh, I've missed the influencer wave, or I can never get a following like that, or I can never work with that influencer. They have over 500,000 followers, or whatever. Wrong. Completely wrong. This is the gold rush. Everyone has a microphone. Everybody. It's in your pocket, by the way. And John, I mean, when you think about production value, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need great lights or audio. You need your phone, and you need to be real. And you need to let people into the door, right? Whatever you're working on, whether you're government, whether you're a CPG, whether you're a retail, it doesn't matter. Let them in and be human. Why social works is because it's social. And it's not about just talking about yourself. It's about asking questions and listening to people and letting people in. If you're at a conference, you're not just going to go up to someone and tell them your story. You're going to start by asking them about their story. Social is the exact same way, and I think it's a little bit inverted for people. We think of it as a place to kind of show what we're doing, when really it's a place where we want to accept what others are doing, and that's what helps kind of build the platform. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's also not, like, the social aspect of it is something that we tend to forget about. We make our videos, we make our posts and stuff, and we think that's all that there is, but what we are actually trying to do is start a conversation in the comments, not just here. Think of it as a greater expansion of what is going on here with everyone else outside of the room. It is, what happens in the comments is extremely, it can be traumatizing. I know this. But at least in the first hour of what you post, you have people that are truly interested in what it is you're doing and what your messaging is. And through that is really how you do effective outreach. It's the conversations that you start and not just the content that you make. In fact, the conversations are probably the more important part. That's why when people ask me about like my like social media rates or stuff, they don't ask me about like my video quality or whatever that is, even though I would say it's not bad. But they want to know what the interactions are, what are my interaction rates are, how many comments, how many likes, how does that do, how does all of that translate? Because that's how we measure the success of a social media post.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get cooking, and we'll show you guys a little bit of what we do. Yeah, give it up for that. That was awesome. And we'll try and make this kind of interactive and fun too, but we took a bunch of food from last night's party that you guys had, and we didn't really know what we were making, but we know that you guys had dumplings. And I think one of the biggest things is when you're cooking, and I wrote a cookbook called Cooking Scrappy.
I love that.
Yeah, not to be mistaken for Cooking Crappy. Cooking Scrappy. Talk about internet reviews. And I think the biggest thing is a lot of people look at leftovers as crappy or as lesser, when really I think that there's so much potential and you can unlock it. And you look at a dumpling, you're like, oh, I could just nuke that. personally, I think a lot of people don't do leftovers because they're kind of sick of it. So it's kind of fun to repurpose things and look for recipes that I call are kind of blank slates. Frittatas are like that, pastas are like that, stir fries are like that, and salads are like that, where you can kind of put anything in it. And once you learn how to make a great salad or make a great frittata, it's kind of like whatever you have in the fridge or whatever you have in the freezer is open and fair game.
Yeah, well, just think of it this way. If you're starting with leftovers, like your recipe is already half done for you. The hard part is over. You're not wrapping any of these. I actually, frittata was one of the first videos that I made because I started filming during the pandemic. And like my goal was to teach people how to just use all the stuff that was going bad in their fridge and how to repurpose that into a meal. So frittata is an excellent example of it, even though when I was doing it, we thought the world was ending.
Yeah, we were there for that, yes. But I think it's about giving people a fishing pole, not just the fish. A recipe is the fish. It's like, make this, only this. Fishing pole is like, here's how you make a frittata, and you can really translate it to anything you want. So the first thing is we're gonna make this kind of like crispy dumpling salad, okay? It's actually trending right now, in case if anyone needs to know. Dumpling salads are all the rage. It's kind of like, think of a potato salad, but different and cooler, and I think much tastier. So what we're gonna do is we have leftover dumplings from last night. These are mushroom dumplings, and we're gonna cut them in half. So do you wanna do that, John?
Cool, sure.
And then this is just where it gets crazy, and you gotta go like nuclear with it. But like last night, there was sambal, so there was some chili sauce left as a dipping sauce, so I'm gonna add that in. I'm mixing that with this salsa verde from a steak dish that was also there. I'm loving these colors, by the way.
Beautiful.
And then the mignonette. There were oysters and there were kind of some seafood. So mignonette is, it has a little apple, it has some shallots and some vinegar. So you would never think to mix these sauces. Again, maybe you had Chinese the night before or Mexican and you're thinking, oh, I have this salsa or I have this. If you mix them, it actually becomes something really delicious, really different.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, isn't that already beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
And I think accepting the fact that it's Frankenstein,
right,
and leaning into it.
This is practically the world in the bowl right now.
Exactly. Do
you want me to
get
started on
Yeah,
stir
so we
fries?
have a pan on medium-high heat. You're gonna add that in, and we're gonna sear these dumplings, and we're gonna smoke out the joint. So let's call the fire department and teach them about food waste. Yes, perfect. So you can turn it up a little bit. We cut them in half to open up their surface area, and that gets every little bit really, really crispy. Look at that flip. I mean, come on, baby, I love it.
It's a living.
It's a living. So speaking of a living, I want to like squash the idea that like you have a monster following, a big microphone. If a brand wants to come work with you, is it $1 gazillion? And when a brand wants to come work with you, or if an organization wants to come work with you, and they stand for something like food waste, do you take that kind of into consideration? And how does that work?
Absolutely. I mean, like a lot of us, myself included, a lot of like the biggest influencers out there, we all started in a lot of us started in the industry, whether it be working on the line in kitchens or being servers. A lot of your favorite food influencers started off in the place, in the trenches, and so these things have always mattered to us during the course of our careers. And when you're in a professional kitchen, food waste is a huge issue in terms of your bottom line. But then now it translates into something that we can afford to be altruistic about and translate that into our ethical center. And so it's really about just reaching out, sending out a DM, just literally just messaging them. Because what at that point do you have to lose? See if they follow you back or follow you already. If you're a local organization, and sorry.
Yeah, don't you dare burn this.
I know, that'd be so embarrassing.
No, you're crushing it. You're doing great.
Yeah, if you're a local organization, see if they follow you already. If you're a national organization, chances are we already do, because these issues matter to us. But the problem is, because we never started off, we didn't all have media training or anything like that, we don't really know how to reach out to people, and we don't really know who knows that we even care. So just go ahead. There are some of us that are in bigger agencies or whatnot. Go also approach them too, because when we get big enough to get represented, a lot of agencies will be like, are there any causes that mean a lot to you? And I guarantee you, if they're a food influencer, food waste is going to be at the top of their priorities. But it really just starts with sending out a message, and there are always ways that we will find to work together, whether it be just like simple amplification through like Instagram stories, or right down to like making a video or doing an appearance. It's really something that we all care about, and it's really worth it for you to try, because we have access to such a huge community, and those people care just as much as we do.
Yeah, and what they don't want to see is they don't want to see, when I say they, people want to see human, like I said. They want to see realness. They want to see the guts. And so I like, if you have a problem that you're wrestling with within your organization right now, it could be real. It could be, how do we save money by shipping these almonds over here? Or we're really stuck on the supply chain issue. Or how do we reach consumers in our state because we're a government organization? Ask that question to the world. People love to offer their opinion, especially in food, by the way. And they are looking for someone to ask them. And social media, again, give them a place to share, become that place, and you will become the trusted authority in your space.
Right.
All right, these dumplings smell actually out of control. Whoever made them is incredible. And then we mix these three sauces. We're adding just a touch. What are we? Is this? I don't even. Oh, it's honey. Oh, that's perfect. I love it. So that sweetens everything up. Let's just try this real quick. And this is cooking, right? I mean, it's teaching. Oh my gosh, that's bright and
that's
delicious.
really delightful, actually.
It's actually incredible.
You like how surprised we are?
I know. I'm like, wow. But we all know that the best food is the unplanned food. It's the stuff that you open in the fridge and you didn't think about it for 3 weeks earlier and read cookbooks. It's like you whipped it up and you're like, oh my gosh. That is beautiful. And if we can empower people with those skills, double beautiful. All right. So dumplings go in and they just kind of like, they just drink up. You want to toss that in there? Give me that good toss. Yes. And now they're hot. It's like when you get out of a sauna and your pores are open, and they're just drinking those three sauces. I mean, that is a medley. That looks insane. Can we hold it up to camera? That's so cool that you guys have a top-down camera. I love it. Thank you for the marinated, Are you guys having fun? Is this cool? Yes? Okay, good. All right. Left over was some marinated vegetables, roasted. You know, when I have people over, I don't know why now, when you entertain, it's all about like the cheese boards and the stuff, right? That's the thing. It's like if I don't have a nosh,
board.
people get mad. Yeah, exactly. So I'm always left with like extra cheese, charcuterie, which you can chop up and do amazing things with. But this is just some leftover roasted onion and fennel. You want to mix that in, John?
Sure.
And then we've got lots of little bops and bibs here, but we've got some leftover mint. When mint goes sad, what do you do with it?
I do a little dunk in some really, really cold water. Generally, that brings them back to life.
Yep.
But a really good way of like keeping your herbs from going sad is to do this. If you you can like do a little bouquet in a glass of water and then stick that in your fridge. They will last so much longer. And that goes for like the mint that you might buy out of a plastic clamshell, which we all know like that is one of the things that people end up throwing out the herbs most often because you use what you need and then you just throw the rest away. Put it in some water, put it in your fridge, and it'll last at least a week. Or another thing that you can do for mint is if you want to feel like a fancy person, take a jug of water and then just put your sweet herbs in there. And then you have herb-infused water whenever you want, and you feel like you're at the spa just all the time.
I want to feel like I'm at the spa all the time.
I, too, would like
I
to
think
feel
another
like
thing
I'm
you
at
can
the
do
spa.
is if you don't drink all that water, we'll just keep going. You can blitz it just a couple times and then put it in ice cube trays, and you'll have little mint bombs that you can put in little salsas. You can put in little sauces and marinades. So
a mojito.
Let's play ball. Yeah, spas and mojitos. Dana and I were joking yesterday, but make best friends with your freezer. And I think a lot of people at home, they get really overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I want to use this onion peel, or I have all these chicken bones, or my kid ate all that bread but not the crust. And you're kind of like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't have time. Freeze it.
Yep.
Freeze it. Guess what? Pauses time. And you can freeze it. These things will last 3 to 6 months, and you can go research. We've all got ChatGPT now and say, what do I do with leftover bread? What do I do with all of these chicken bones? And it will absolutely help you out. So in terms of the mint, I love using the stems. Most people toss the stems, but if you chop them really small, they're super sweet and they're really crunchy and crispy.
Oh, yeah.
And I try not to over chop herbs. I don't know about you, but like once or twice through, otherwise they get a little bit too brute. Does that not smell insane?
No, it smells beautiful.
It smells so good. All right, you want to scoop that in there, my man?
Sure.
And then you want to chop up a cucumber. With cucumbers, sometimes they get kind of slimy. I don't know if you guys ever get that, but you like wait a little extra. If you boil them for 1 second, I mean like literally, dunk out, the slime goes away, they kind of perk back up in the cold fridge, and they get really good. So when you think a cucumber has gone not so great, it's actually totally great.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, it's great, yeah. Also, if it gets kind of limp, cooked cucumber. I don't know if you've ever sauteed it, thrown it into a stir fry or a fried rice. Actually really good, has some zucchini vibes. All right, so that goes in. What do you do with all these guys?
Oh, well, the greens I like to use as toppings for anything. You can put them in salads and whatnot. And then the white parts over here, if you live in a place with a garden, you can actually just plant these and regrow them and have scallions for the rest of the year. Or you can put them in a little glass of water and put that on your windowsill. You'll have to change this at least once a day. It kind of turns into like a little pet at that point. You have to take care of it. Otherwise, it gets a little stinky, but you can regrow them right on your windowsill.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And people also chop off the roots. The roots, actually, just give them a good clean, chop them up. Insane flavor in here. Actually really pungent.
So good for stock.
Yeah, so you can absolutely use all of it, root to stem. And it's so interesting. I want to talk about strategy and messaging. And I've worked with the Department of Ecology for a couple of years now, a year and a half or so. And we've worked really well together on how do you message consumers really about food waste and this problem. And when I started pitching Food Network and all these different networks about this idea, Scraps, this cooking show, they were all, this was back in 2016, they were all totally grossed out. They're like, we're not putting a dumpster diving show on our network. No one wants to eat trash. And I think that, again, it's about leading, like it's kind of Trojan horsing it. And let's say you're a CPG. I think we all heard of that company Poppy that just sold, and they used to lead with what their benefit was probiotic health. And then they kind of got rid of that and put that in the background. They were like, this is just really great soda. It's kind of the same thing with food waste. If you lead with food waste, people kind of get a little bit yucked out, and they're thinking trash and general public, not people in this room, people who are dedicated to this, but every day people get a little bit worried, or they get, they look at that cucumber and they're like, ugh, gross. So you got to lead with the fried rice. You got to lead with the sexiness. You got to lead with the hook. And then you Trojan horse them, and then you kind of hit them with the education, and you bring it in. And that's the reality, is you kind of, Katie Couric was the executive producer of my show, and her secret to news was she didn't really lead with the scary part. She kind of made it, personal. She made it kind of her own. She kind of brought down everyone's guard, and then it was like a big deal, and it made it a little bit more digestible to people. I don't know if you find success with that.
And also, like, meeting your consumer where they are. A lot of people are really concerned about saving money, and this is actually like, on the commercial level, a lot of our prevention of food waste is so that it helped our restaurant's bottom line. It can do the same for people at home. So making them understand that this is good for their home budgets as well. In fact, like, it's extremely beneficial. They pretty much go hand in hand. That is really important. That's a very, very good way of getting their attention. I hide a lot of my climate activism in my content under the guise of good home economics, and that is how they really, really just lock in.
I love that. I love it. By the way, guys, I'm showing you a quick trick. I have a jalapeno here. I just roll on it and chop off the back. And you can kind of just shake out all the seeds. I don't know if you guys know that. Don't throw away those seeds, though. If you have chickens, you can feed them. They make a very orange egg. But for most of us who don't have chickens, you could put those in oil, and you can make your own chili oil. So again, even these little things can kind of really add a lot of value. So I'm just going to slice this up. I do want to ask you a question about, I guess the biggest question is, what do you think, where is this going with social media and influencers? Like, is this a fad? Is it going to kind of like fade away? Is there too many? Like, is there our army? Like, what is the future, and what should we all be thinking about?
I don't think that social media or short form media, it will evolve, and I think because, like, keep in mind, like, this has been an entire career of mine. I've only been doing this for 5 years, and it's really only existed for maybe 5 or 6. So it's continuing to evolve. We're growing up. I feel like the industry is in its adolescence, but once we get into like an even keel and figuring out who we are as an industry, we're gonna be here to stay, because at the end of the day, we're still, in our own way, like authorities within people's lives, in some ways, to shape and form for better or for worse. So yeah, make the outreach, and like, at the very least, approach those of us who have established our expertise in some way. I have industry experience, as well as my own cookbook but yeah, just approach us, and that's really all that we should be doing.
Yeah, and I'll say this, YouTube this year surpassed Netflix for watch time. So more people, boomers, older generation, are starting to accept YouTube. They're starting to find the creators or the voices that they're looking to. If you are not looking at YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, you're not looking at totally unmarked potential. If you are a foundation, there are so many people to be discovered and causes to be funding. If you're on the other side of it, you're a grantee, you should be positioning yourself as a voice. Even if 2 people are watching it, you've got to be on there. These are free microphones. 40 years ago, to get on ABC, NBC, impossible. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Now, $0. It's just reaching in your phone, recording yourself, and that is the content that does the best.
Yes.
Okay, that is it, all right? So I'm gonna squeeze a little lime on here. I did a little bit of lime zest. This is looking beyond amazing. And then I have some kind of wilted, we had some kind of like leftover arugula. This actually, we dunked this in cold water, and we added that in. That's gonna add some spiciness to it. Yeah, toss all that together.
That's what makes it a salad.
I know, exactly. Now it's healthy.
Now it's a salad.
I love it. And what I do with salads, I don't know about you, but when I plate them, I try and go as high as possible because we kind of eat like that. Like when it's kind of coming at you at cooking school, they always teach you like, really have it. You eat with your eyes first, and the higher you make, there you go. You got to use your hands, baby. Get in there.
Do.
Yes, I love it. And this didn't need any salt and pepper. The dressings had it. And I think this is like a little bit of a different take. Again, it's kind of refreshing. If you don't just want dumplings again, maybe it's lunch the next day or 2 days later, you can add a little bit of crunch. We've got some sesame seeds right over the top. I mean, you could sell this for like $30.
I know, this is like a Wolfgang Pup.
I love it. And as chefs, we were taught to do this. What you just watched, using the leftover dipping sauces, using some kind of old herbs, using the pot stickers from the night before a party. We know how to make that into a special, how to make that into profit. And when I was teaching, I was the head chef for Sur La Table for 10 years. So I've taught thousands of people how to cook, home cooks. I looked around the room, and we kind of forgot that. We forgot that scrappiness. And maybe we had it during the Great Depression, maybe your grandparents have it, but it kind of skipped a generation of kind of using what you have, making the most of it, using your senses, and saving so much money. And like Dana said, this is the time. People are so conscious about what they're spending, and they're thinking about grocery prices, and it's a very uneasy time. Getting back to the kitchen, getting back to your ingredients, and controlling what you're in control of is very empowering for people. And we believe, I can speak for John too, that this is the best time to be doing this. And in terms of media, reaching with influencers and having your own position as a trusted authority, this is the gold rush. This is the time. I don't know if you have any kind of closing thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, like it takes a little bit of research on your part to find out which kind of influencers and content creators you want to work with, but we're doing stuff like this and putting stuff out like this every day. And sometimes it's just a matter of plugging your messaging into things that already exist. It can really be that easy. All you have to do is just take the jump, find your favorite person, or ask your kid who their favorite person is, and then just go from there.
That's the move. That's the Riz move. All right, let's try it.
Okay.
You're in? Yeah, I love it. You're getting up? Get up here. Get in here. Tell us about you.
Wait a second, no.
This is what it's all about. Isn't that gorgeous?
I'm a chef, legitimately. I'm a chef.
And you approve. Yeah, I love it. Thanks for coming.
Right, hello, man. Chef.
Beautiful. Yeah, good to see you. Guys, awesome. Big round of applause.
Thanks, guys. I love that. That's actually so
That
good.
actually is really, really good.
That's incredible. You guys, thank you so much for watching. We're going to do a little breakout session now, or it's going to be actually a little bit of just, meeting time. Grab a little bit of a snack, grab a little rest, and then it will be breakout sessions into kind of your individual rooms. We hope you guys continue to be empowered. I'll be on the stage tomorrow as well. I'd love to connect with you and hope you guys connect with each other. Give it up one more time for John.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you out there, guys. Thank you.